Hey, happy Monday, and thanks for joining us here on 9 News Plus on this very chilly start to our work week. I'm 9 News meteorologist Chris Bianchi. To look at your Colorado weather forecast, we'll get into some details about what we saw and also looking ahead to a much calmer week compared to what we had this past weekend. So top line takeaways, obviously you know it's cold today with all that fresh snowpack. It'll stay chilly for tomorrow, and then by the time we get into Wednesday and the start of November, things will warm on up significantly. And that snow that we've got on the ground now, that'll be long gone by the end of the week with lots of sunshine ahead and much warmer temperatures. I-70, this is, that does not look good there. I-70 at the Eisenhower-Johnson tunnels looks like might be looking at a full closure there with those westbound lanes looking like they're stopped. I'm not entirely sure what is going on there at the moment, but obviously you can tell that traffic is at a standstill westbound on I-70 at the Eisenhower-Johnson tunnels. Eastbound lanes, those are the ones closest to you on the screen. Those are moving smoothly at this point. Looks like that might be just some of the stop and go, the filtered through traffic there. And I-70 does look like it's starting to crawl along a little bit now there in the Eisenhower-Johnson tunnels, but of course all that fresh snowfall. This is the Rocky Mountain National Park Alpine Visitor Center, which picked up a good 6 to 12 inches of snow from our most recent storm. The most recent storm really did for the central mountains. That's where we saw those highest totals. In some cases, we picked up close to 30 inches of snow in the West Elks, in the Gunnison River Basin, the Saguache Mountains, the Mosquito Ranges. Those are the ones that did the best, which those are the mountains that tend to do the best in that west-southwest flow that we picked up over the weekend. But this is kind of one of those, a buddy of mine and I, weather buddy of mine, we called this setup a Crested Butte special, because this was one of those storms that tends to really kind of lead to some very, very high totals for Crested Butte in particular, and that's exactly what happened. Crested Butte, and again, those West Elk Mountains, Aspen snowmass did extremely well in our most recent snowstorm. Meantime, here in Denver, we officially picked up 7.5 inches of snow. That made it our biggest snowstorm this early in the season, excuse me, since 2009. It was also our 5th biggest first snowfall on record. So it was a pretty good little storm. Obviously, a lot of you know plenty about that. South side of town, we picked up close to a foot of snow. In some cases, we actually picked up a little bit more than a foot of snow in places like Castle Rock, parts of Douglas and Elbert counties, picking up more than a foot of snow in a few locations. But it was a very, very impressive snowstorm, no doubt about it. So chilly for today, much warmer for the middle of the week. Overall, we're looking at a dry week ahead. But this morning, the temperatures, the story, 10 degrees, making it our coldest morning since February the 24th for us here in Denver. Some spots here, and in fact, I'm going to show you here the map. Some spots, some of the outlying regions did get those temperatures as low as 0 degrees. Lyman dropping down to the goose egg this morning, into the high country, minus 13 for Leadville. So this is a middle of January map that I'm showing you here at the end of October. Very, very cold, and of course, maybe worth the reminder. I don't know if you want to be reminded about this, but maybe worth the reminder that we were 81 last Monday. So a week ago, we were 81 degrees. And right now, it is 32 degrees for us here in Denver. Gotta love Colorado weather. Mountains, mostly in the teens and 20s, all that fresh snowpack, keeping that cold, dense air insulated at the surface. And it's going to keep things very chilly for today and tomorrow as well. Clearing skies. In fact, we're already really cleared on up. High temperature, upper 30s. Our average high for today is around 60 degrees. So when we're talking about these highs in the upper 30s, that's more than 20 degrees below our seasonal average. Most of those high temperatures here on the eastern plains in the 30s and 40s. For, by the way, a bit of context as well, our lowest average high temperature of the year is in late December, and our lowest average high temperature in Denver at the end of December is 43 degrees. So we're talking about a high of 38. That's below what you would expect in the middle of winter in our coldest days. So obviously very, very chilly out there, no doubt about that, and it's going to stay cold for the rest of today. Now, HC Doppler radar is quiet, but you might notice what looks to be cloud cover there on the eastern plains. What that is fresh snowpack that you can see there very, very clearly, all that fresh snowpack. And interestingly to me, as a weather nerd, you can see kind of two little distinct lines. Those are those narrow snow bands that set on up. And what we had over the weekend were these jet-induced snow bands. So the jet stream was sitting over us, and when you get the jet stream sitting over us, that can create these little kind of funnels of extremely intense snowfall, and that was part of the concern with the forecast, was exactly where those bands were going to set up. They're very difficult to predict and they move erratically. So those were the concerns of the forecast. And what you can see there is that southwest to northeast flow from Colorado Springs on north and east, and from the Palmer Divide on north and east. That's where those bands set up, and that's why places like, say, for example, Brighton, Thornton only picked up 3, 4, 5 inches worth of snowfall, and why the Palmer Divide picked up more than a foot. Same in Colorado Springs. North side of the Springs probably only getting about 4, 5, 6 inches of snow. South side of Colorado Springs getting as much as a foot of snow, and that's again due to those narrow snow bands. You can see those very clearly defined on the HD Doppler radar. That's again, that is the albedo. That is the reflection of the light that is beaming back towards the satellite. That's what you just saw there a second ago. That is not cloud cover, of course. Forecast for today: not a cloud in the sky basically anywhere across the state. Tonight we drop back into the 20s, and it'll stay clear for tomorrow as well. Nothing but end-to-end sunshine across the state with those temperatures. They'll start to rebound a little bit with a bit more sunshine. We'll be in the mid-40s for your Halloween, and we're going to get into your Halloween forecast in detail in just a second. But it's sunny. It is cold, but not as cold as today. So again, that snow will start to melt off a pretty good chunk of it tomorrow, but that could be of concern for trick-or-treaters for tomorrow night, with some patchy black ice that will likely form as a result of that. So that Halloween forecast. Again, a bit of good news on this. I will say that last week it looked like it would be even colder than what I'm showing you here. It looked like we might be down into the teens for Halloween night, but at this point it looks like we'll be in the 30s, upper 20s, which is chilly, no doubt about that, but it's not going to be brutal. It's not going to be like, if, for example, if it was tomorrow morning, it was tonight or last night, we've been talking about temperatures in the teens and 20s. It does look like it's going to be about 10 degrees warmer than tonight and last night. So again, that is kind of good news where, again, we're talking about cold, but nothing, we're not talking about wild cold for us for tomorrow night. That said, obviously, jackets, warm costumes advised, and definitely also the other thing I would pick out as well is just be aware of the fact that we're going to be looking at patchy black ice. We're going to melt a good chunk of that snow tomorrow and tomorrow night, and that means we will likely be looking at some of that ice melting and some of that snow and ice melting, and that means we'll likely be looking at a fair bit of patchy black ice out there on the road. So keep that in mind for the kiddos out there. Meantime, 7-day forecast. Otherwise, we're in the 50s and the 60s for the next few days. Next chance for rain, not until early next week, and even that at this point doesn't look that impressive. So it's going to be a dry week. In fact, take a look at the precipitation forecast across the state. We probably won't get a single raindrop or snowflake through the upcoming weekend. So it's going to be a dry stretch after our recent run of this obviously snowy and cold weather that we dealt with over the weekend. And then snowpack levels. Notice how the Gunnison River Basin at almost 200% of season-to-date average. That is where we picked up the most snowfall in our most recent storm system, and that's why the Gunnison River Basin 186% of average. That would include the West Elk Mountains, Crested Butte, some of those places I mentioned that really topped out with those highest totals. That's why the Gunnison River Basin doing so well. The Colorado River Basin, the Central Mountains, the Mosquito Range did pretty well as well, but the Northern Mountains and the Southern Mountains did okay, but not as much as those, again, Central Mountains that really got kind of the bulk of our most recent snowstorm. So cold today, still chilly tomorrow, warmer for the middle to end part of the week, and then it's going to be a dry week as well with our next rain chance or snow chance not coming until the early part of next week, and even that at this point doesn't look all that impressive. I'll have another update for you coming up at 9 News at noon and also at 2 p.m. here on 9 News Plus. Then we'll have Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin in at 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10 tonight on the 9 News family of networks. Once again, I'm 9 News meteorologist Chris Bianchi. Thanks for joining us here on 9 News Plus. Have a great rest of your Monday here and a great work week as well.